Afternoon, everybody. I'll give you a little tour of my grid-tied AC coupled solar system. I've got a 1.04 kilowatt solar array with in-phase microinverters. Consists of 4 panels, 260 watts each, and they are ground mounted. And on the backs there'll be the in-phase M215 microinverters, and these are actually converting DC to AC, so they're putting 240 straight to the house. There's a combiner box at the base down here, and then it is trenched in the ground all the way over to my house. And they use the standard gray conduit underground, and then where it comes up and attaches to the side of the house, it changes over to metal, and you'll see it following the base of the siding. And then there are 7 wires that are pulled, and I had them do that because you can do 2 sets of 16 onto a 20 amp breaker each. So there's 7 wires into the box here, but they only pulled up part of them to the cutoff. And this has the on-off that'll shut off the whole array. And Duke Energy actually came out and installed a digital 2-way meter. This left arrow here is showing that the inverters are back feeding through the house, powering the house, and this is the excess coming out to the grid, going across the power line over to the telephone pole across the road. And I'm getting 11-cent credits like we pay for from Duke Energy for every kilowatt that I put out. This is my outside vent for the power vent that's on the battery box inside. And we will go inside and I'll show you the rest. So this is the setup. To start off, we've got 2 Tractor Supply truck boxes. They are holding 8 Duracell GC2s. These are 6-volt golf cart batteries. They're 215 amp hour each. 4 batteries are wired in series to get 24 volts, and I've got that times 4. So it totals up to 20.64 kilowatt hours of battery backup. There's conduit between the 2. One is for the 3 4-aught cables to go through, and then the other one is for the vent fan. This is the power vent. It's triggered by a set voltage. When the batteries are charging and they're gassing, they'll vent. And then I have 4-aught cables coming out to an Anderson connector. This is a 400 amp hour connector, similar to what's on forklifts. The small box on the wall, this is the scaler for the Conext battery monitor. So this has your positive negative connections, your midpoint connections, and the shunt connections, which are on the negative side. And this orange cable connects to the battery monitor, and this gives all the status of it. So you've got the percentage, amp hour, amperage that it's pulling right now, the voltage on the whole pack, the midpoint. There's 2 settings on those. They're jumped across 2 6-volts, and they're reading right at about 13 volts. You got your temperature, and then your runtime. It typically states 240 hours. And when it's under loads and I'm off grid, it'll come down to about 190 hours, which is still a pretty good amount. And that's without solar or energy that'll run all the critical loads. This is the Conext COM box. This ties everything into the internet through an Ethernet cable, and allows you to access it from anywhere. And it also does data logging on a micro SD. And this is the in-phase Envoy. This connects to all 4 microinverters, and it shows a total of 741 watts coming in. And it shows a web connection, and it's these 4 units, and then the IP address. So the SW4024 is connected to the battery bank and to a 240 input and output. So the battery bank comes in through a DC disconnect with a 250 amp breaker, and then ties into the side here, and then there are input and outputs for the 240 lines. This is the critical load panel. So the output off the inverter comes into here, and this feeds, this is 240 coming out of the inverter. This is a 20 amp breaker coming from the solar panels. This is the back feed. And then I've got 220s for the critical loads. So basically I have like the fridge and the microwave on their own, the 2 bedrooms, and all the outlets are on one, and then all the lights are on the other. And then the main breaker panel, this is the 30 amp breaker that is the feed line to the inverter. And this one is the back feed that actually goes out to the goes through the breaker and then up to the grid. So when the power goes out, I'll show that real quick. You get a very quick flash, and we're inverting currently. So it's taking the 24 volts and converting that into 240, and then it's powering everything off of here. And then when the power's reconnected, the 4024 will requalify to make sure it's 60 hertz and everything looks good on it, and then we'll see a click come up and the green light, yeah, there's a click, and then the green light comes on showing that the AC is back in. When these lights flash, the bottom is displayed, so like gen support, charging, or warning lights or faults. And I've also just added the Conext SCP. This gives all the status and the readout of the system. The advantage of this is if you lose a connection to the COM box for the internet, you still have access from here with the hard keys. So that is a small preview of my system, and everything's up and running. Last week we lost power for about 3 hours, and my house was complete up and running, and I had no issues. I'll be shooting some more videos on updates of my system. Thank you for watching.